I can see that. Do you do TikTok?
Hell no. Fuck no.
Good. That's good.
As long as possible, I will not. I mean, not even as long as possible. Like, no.
No, just period, yeah.
No. No. It seems like there's probably some cool stuff there. Like,
There must be.
just by virtue of how many people are using it.
Right.
I wouldn't, yeah. Probably lots of great stuff, but no, fuck that shit. It's like the devil in so many ways. It's just like...
Name one. One
Well,
way.
it's like run by China.
To start with. See.
And it's just America, it's like this, it's run by China, and then like symbolically it's just America at the teat of China. Doing stupid little dances for the emperor.
Right. Yeah. Buck and wing here. Yeah. Okay.
And then, I mean, I'm not going to spend too much time on this. I'll say one more thing.
Okay.
It's the format, like, it's the Twitter thing. Where like, oh, that's a novel idea. What if it's just a short thing? Like, what could you do with that?
Right.
And if someone took that seriously, like, which I'm sure that people are, that is an interesting idea as a medium. But what it lends itself to is just like the most shallow things ever. And it's just doing, yes, it seems like I also have never been on the app. So but they like bleed into the internet.
Oh, yeah.
And
on Instagram, too, they show
yeah, yeah. And it just seems like it's, that amount of time is just, yeah, no one feels like spiritually motivated by that amount of time. Like, it'd be cool if someone did, like some profound,
Right.
or just creative. But what it ends up being, especially like because Instagram is doing their version of that, like 60-second thing.
Yeah.
So it's like unavoidable.
Yeah, well.
But part of what that looks like is, in one realm is in guitarists, internet guitarists. There are all these of around my age and younger, I suppose older, but mostly my age and younger guitarists that are like very popular online and have made a name for themselves doing 60-second clips of things, and that's it. And it's like, they're not making songs. Like, they're not making like...
Right.
They're just making these like 60-second etudes, maybe you could call it if you're being generous.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's the extent of...
That's all you have time for.
the content, yeah. And it's just, yeah. Nope. Not for me. Not for me. Like, I'm not gonna write off 60-second art form, but yeah. Like, it's a novel thing, I think, in addition to a core of good. Dense, whatever you do. Like, it's a novel kind of like promo tool, maybe. And that's cool.
That seems to be. Well, I've been on half a dozen times. And it's mostly promo. You know, one slant or another.
Yeah.
Lots of just straight up ads.
But anyway.
Yeah.
Cheers, Father.
Cheers, son.
Good to see you.
It's good to see you. It's good to be seen. So should I have, I guess I should have, but can we talk about that interview, the one you sent me with Jordan and this Warren? Is there something you want to say about it? Or
I mainly just wanted to throw it at you and see what you thought. It was, this is the interview with Jordan Peterson and Warren Farrell. Yeah, I thought it was really good. This guy, Warren Farrell, is a psychologist. He's a lot of things. He's a mentor. He's like a psychologist. He's got this like crazy resume of like therapist, and has been on all sorts of national and state boards.
Okay.
When it comes to the issue of men. and also the issue of women. He's been nominated to like various women's boards.
He's on the board of NOW, the national organization for women.
Yeah, he's people. That's like
bizarre.
Him.
Yeah.
Or he's
quite a guy.
He's working on men and women.
Right.
More specifically men, but the issue of men and the issue of women. And I've listened to him before, and yeah, and it's a really good conversation. Really good conversation about.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it now.
Like the title of it is The Boy Crisis,
right.
Or his book
is
The Boy Crisis, and it's this kind of really wide-ranging discussion about what's going on with men and the need to talk about like the kind of the suffering of men, the like why are there so like if there's going to be a school shooter, it's like overwhelmingly going to be a man.
Yeah.
And
has there ever been a woman who did that?
I don't know. I don't know.
No, yeah, that's a guy thing.
Yeah, it's a guy thing, and it's like not good. It's not good.
No.
And it's one element of a larger spiritual issue of like men are in need, like the masculine spirit is in need of help. And so this is a really good conversation about it, with like some of the kind of best authorities in the world, or the most, people who are most concerned openly about it. And that was cool, because they're people look at the two of them in a similar way, like the way a lot of young men and boys, they both have a regular experience of young men and boys coming to them and saying like, hey, you saved my life.
Oh,
And so that was just a cool like meeting of the wise men.
right. Yeah.
And
Yeah, we could stand a lot more wise men.
And yeah, the whole conversation was just really meaningful to me. Like, just me as in my own struggling manhood, and also just my desire, my growing desire over the course of my life to be directly helping men in different ways. And so really like just spoke to that part of me. And like one part in particular that I can talk about, and then yeah, and maybe we can revisit it next week if you watch it. But is Warren tells JP a story about a teenage kid that comes up to him during an interview or something, or he calls him over during an interview and starts engaging the kid, and just tells this like really revealing story about what is going on in school systems right now, where and this is still kind of shocking to me, like and I sometimes say it's because I'm a bit of a Luddite and like not connected, kind of disconnected from like what's happening out in the world, but what's happening in school systems, where he's saying like, it starts out he's talking about his girlfriend and the woman he's dating, the girl he's dating, and he's like, are you guys able to talk about issues? And he's like, oh God, no. And talking about how in school they're regularly told that by the teachers, like this is just normal instruction on a daily basis, that we live in a male-dominated society, patriarchy, that men are the reason for a lot of the troubles of the world, that the future is female. That's like a slogan that's repeated a bunch. The future is female, and that what are some other things?
So this is the background to the curriculum.
Yeah, this is just regular parts of everyday thing, and men are to be suspect. Men are suspect. Like, they've basically ruined the world. That's the gist, and it's just normal. It's just fucking normal, and it like just broke my heart to hear that. Just crying driving through like San Leandro one day. Just the state of affairs.
God.
And it just broke my heart to just imagine growing up with that kind of feeling about yourself. And partially because of just my own wrestling with like my own goodness and like, am I a bad thing?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so it was pretty, yeah, kind of jarring to hear that, and just to like hear that that's normal.
Right.
That's become normal. And that's like, yeah, it added a level of severity, I guess. It's just increasing level of severity where I'm like, ultimately I believe that all things are going to be well, but in addition to that, like in the immediate future, it adds to the concern of like, are we, like we are seriously, we the human species are seriously like on an edge of some sort here. Like, if that's the point where we're at, like where young boys are told from the get-go that they are like bad to be suspect,
yeah.
like you're on the wrong side.
Yeah.
You're part of the like thing of the species that hurts itself.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's just
yeah. It's a hell of a way to start out.
yeah, and yeah, it's very, yeah, I'm still clearly like making sense of it, but it's just like to see that level of like just corruption,
Mm-hmm.
like kind of sickness of spirit. It's very alarming. It's not like, I'm sure many, the human spirit is strong and many boys will sort it out, but many will not. Like,
True.
just,
Guaranteed.
just, and yeah, are we going to be like heading into just a era of, I guess we're kind of in one already, but an era of just like castrated boys run by like really masculine women?
There's some dystopian fiction there, boy.
That's kind of what's going on.
I've seen scenarios that sound like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, well, this is, I think, related in some way. I remember seeing a short video of a college administrator. May have been the president or a dean or something. And he was being confronted by a group of howling children.
As in college kids.
College kids.
Okay. We're not actual, we should be specific. That's our different scenario.
Yeah. And I want to say it was in Oregon. I'm pretty sure of that, but I don't know whether it was Portland State or Evergreen or what. But they were confronting him on some woke basis, and
Like for something he did.
not him in specifically, or at least not in terms of a particular act. But it seemed to have something to do with the things, the general zeitgeist at this college, and some things that the students were unhappy about. At any rate, he was talking to them, and I think he had his hands in his pockets. And
Danger.
they took issue, said there was a microaggression or some other drivel. And,
yeah, because his palms weren't up and
he
his
wasn't
neck wasn't
supplicating.
bared.
Right. He was.
Fucking.
He was not in supplication, and.
Yeah, he wasn't like groveling or
like. Right. He was just talking to him. And he just, I mean, I'm sure this is just because I'm old, but he just weenied right out, took his hands out of his pockets and, apologized.
Don't shoot.
Huh?
Like, don't shoot.
Right.
Yeah.
Not that I'm, any writer, but I think he should have just said, shoot me, if that's what you need. But I'm not doing that, just because it's goofy. And I see hints of that in lots of places. And it seems to me that in some contexts, the only men who can function are weaklings. The ones who refuse to take any position at all on anything that's, the least bit out of line. And it's hard for me to stomach. I don't get it. No. But that's where we are. Well, then that's where some people are. Over there. You seem, from whatever this distance is, you seem like an interesting melange of kind of old and new attitudes, and
Sure.
which makes perfect sense. And of course, it's always been interesting for me to observe how you go about things, how you approach new things, how you, apply your current state to this new situation. And
Like how
what happens
personal
after
I
that?
take. Personally, I take events like that
Right.
and see it. Yeah, I do just kind of. extrapolate and see the world as like a reflection of my own, or like I take a certain responsibility of spirit with what I'm seeing out in the world.
Yeah, and and try to identify your role, if any, or how this new thing fits. What does it mean?
Yeah.
What does it require?
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool feedback. It's
Yeah, I mean it's there. Offhand, I can't think of an instance where you just dove in head first right away.
except for relationships.
Right. Other than
God, that's so true.
yeah. Yeah, you've always kind of, well, and this is just my narrow perspective.
And piano tuning
Oh,
and Beber.
yeah. Yeah, and then, that's, I don't mean to imply that you're not enthusiastic about
No, I know.
various things.
Yeah, I know. I think, yeah, I take that very personally.
And so you
I
should.
take that very personally. Because there's a lot of truth to it. I'm like I can be very tentative about things. And it's part of that. I think I could connect that to the old and new that you're seeing in me. Like I do have a very conservative nature within me amidst my enthusiasm.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like one of those both, and definitely one of those both types.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had very conservative in some ways. Which I've just it's been a process of becoming aware of that in myself over the years. And
Yeah, which is pretty new age, on its own.
what?
That self-awareness. I mean, I couldn't tell you, the first time, but I was well over 21 when the idea of self-awareness being important even occurred to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I grew up, it never came up in any discussion. As much as, my buddies and I would shoot the shit, that never arose. We didn't, and I guess the little kids, we didn't question much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've always had definitely more self-consciousness.
Yeah.
The self-awareness has been a incremental growing thing.
Yeah, well, that's...
That I still feel like I have a teenage's amount of um,
Well,
but it's interesting to have that reflection of like that's also kind of new to the time, like
right.
as a value maybe in a young person's mind.
Mm-hmm.
That value is getting recognized at earlier and earlier ages, maybe in the big scope of human evolution.
Yeah.
I think probably moving to California definitely like heightened at least my consciousness of myself, which I think then will hopefully through like conscious questioning, then it becomes self-awareness and introspection. It starts out as self-consciousness, more of the feeling of it.
Mm-hmm.
Self-awareness is a deliberate thing you develop or something like that. And
So
moving, I think moving really, definitely, it really increased self-consciousness. Because I was a alien in an alien land with alien kids saying weird fucking words like hella and
right. Who are these people?
yeah, I'm just like,
I know.
why are you saying that? Stop.
Yeah.
Stop saying that.
Yeah.
Like why are you also friendly?
Right.
Yeah, that's interesting to note. Kids were palpably more friendly here than in Minnesota.
Really.
Yeah, there was a general. It's also kind of some of the schools I was at in Minnesota. The crowds probably, but I feel like there was a bit of.
There's more reticence.
There's a little more. Yeah, it's cold. It's cold.
Yeah, and
you gotta conserve energy.
That's right.
When shit's below zero,
later,
you're a little more conservative with your energy. Yeah, I've never really thought about that before. That was a thing, noticing how much more friendly people were, and Ty was like the symbol of that for me, because he was like my first couple days at Neil Dow,
right.
first school in California. He was the one who invited me to play, and that was like, I remember being like, just like, you said some foreign words, but I can tell they're friendly, and I'm like,
right. I think he means well. We don't know what that.
Look around. Like,
yeah, he was kind of a cultural ambassador, I guess.
He truly
unintentionally.
was. He for a long time he was. He's. Shout out and gratitude to Ty.
Yeah.
He really. He was my.
Kind
connection
of interpreter.
He was. He was. For very reserved Ade, he was my connection to, like, friends and the greater social sphere and like California, because he was like, loved him. And he took a liking to me and would venture into my like recesses totally happily. And something I really do appreciate. I've mentioned to him every couple of years. Probably mention it to him again after this.
And I mean, certainly at this point, and to some extent back then, I felt the need of I needed a course in California.
Yeah, because it's like
'Cause-
we all did. Like,
Right.
Mom had, like, she was the reason we were here, so she had her thing.
Oh yeah, she just
had her
walked right
thing.
into a
And
new
we were just-
world. Yeah,
Yeah, and we went along
yeah,
in our commitment and love.
yeah.
But yeah, that's interesting to hear you say that too. Like, all of
Yeah.
us were just like,
Okay.
right?
See, yeah. I don't know
We
who I
trust
was
her
talking to.
conviction.
Right. Yeah.
I need, what do I do?
Because I have thought, I still think, that she had the easiest time
Yeah,
in terms of, no question,
no
in
doubt.
terms of the transition.
Yeah, because it was her transition.
Right.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so she started off with people that she had met, when you guys came through here before.
and already in a world of shared values.
Right.
Yeah,
Because,
Yeah.
she knew her people. That's who she started out with, and
which is part
So
of
I
what's
think-
awesome about it. Like, and in the kudos to her for the move. It's like, that's what she was doing also, is just reaching for more of her people.
mm-hmm,
And thereby
Mhm.
herself too.
mm-hmm.
But you keep going.
Yeah. So she had the easiest time. Then you, because you pretty soon seemed
Yeah, I took
not
to
distressed.
it. I
Found your
let my
way.
roots
Yeah.
get into the soil, and the friends I met really helped with that. And
Sure.
then guitar
Mm-hmm.
is really what did it, because I had
Mhm.
that within 6 months of moving,
Oh.
or no, 7 months. That, yeah, that is what, that was like the tap route into
Mm.
the place
Mm-hmm.
for me.
Yeah. And then, then there was Joe and I. Yeah.
Yeah,
It was a tough nut to crack.
it was rough. Yeah,
Yeah. Especially, it took so long for me to make $1.
yeah.
Yeah. It was tricky.
Because in Minneapolis, what were you doing right before we moved?
Well, I had been subbing for, a couple of years, 2.5 years maybe. And, I remember, it was an administrative snafu in a way. But I had been subbing a while. I had made pretty good contacts, and there were schools that would call me back when they had when they needed somebody, they could call me.
And you had a kind of network that you were building.
Right, and and then they changed the phone system, the notification system, such that the schools apparently couldn't pick somebody anymore. They were just in a rotation, and so suddenly I just wasn't working.
For like
Through
how
no-
long before you
Oh,
moved?
it started really in that in that fall semester. I mean, that's when the system changed, and
So like the year before.
I was and I was just kind of out in the cold, and
Yeah, much more efficient.
right, much more efficient. Yeah, I don't know who dreamed that up. At any rate, the last thing I did,
50 people.
the last thing I did in Minneapolis was making pizzas and sandwiches. Do you remember that place I worked for in
Bryn Mawr?
Bryn Mawr?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That place, that's so funny. That place was this like, it has like a dreamy quality when I think back to it.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I
Yeah.
know
So that was the
place.
last thing I did.
It was like on the corner.
Yeah.
Corner place.
Well, actually, there was another little something on the corner, but it was right next to that.
Yeah, right.
And then
okay.
there was a grocery store on the other side. And the building was owned by a couple of brothers, I think. So, it was really all their deal. Yeah, and that, situation was part of the reason I didn't really mind moving. Because it looked like I had
like,
reached
well,
the
this
end
is-
of my, yeah.
Clearly, something's about to give here.
Yeah. And yeah, so we did. And
Like, yeah, you were. Part of you was also just welcoming
a change.
new.
I was ready for a change. I needed one.
We'll head out west.
Right. California.
I hear there's plenty of land, not many engines.
No.
They've cleared out quite a few at this
Quite
point.
a few, yes. Yeah. Yeah. And that's because that's how that drive felt,
Truly.
That endless trek.
Yeah,
It seemed endless anyway.
Telling that to Jade yesterday about the spray bottles. And basically our glorified carriage. That was the Honda Civic.
And that buckboard,
Just
yeah.
traveling through the desert
Yeah.
in the middle of August. Just being like, we gotta make it to the fertile land.
Yeah. Yeah. Just head for the setting sun.
Yeah. All right,
for the
kids, we'll
best.
stop for rest today in this random place.
Right. Yeah. Here by the creek, we'll make camp. Head out in the morning. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd like to see the desert. That thinking about it in that way adds another layer to it, like spiritually, like go to that place of the in between.
Right. Yeah, the desert is an interesting place, and including high desert up around Susanville.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of that. This is cool. This is cool. I want to keep talking about this. This whole scenario of the Great Migration. That's like such a huge fucking apocalyptic scenario in ways.
Yeah.
Transplanting our whole lives, and I'm remembering the kind of party we had as we were leaving.
Oh yeah.
Of like all our friends
Yeah.
at our house, and all of all my friends, all the kids, all of your guys' friends, like the world we had made had really did show up.
Yeah, they did.
And really, it was beautiful.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. Yeah. Yeah, like literally sent us off. Like they were still at the house as we drove away.
Right. Right. Yeah.
It's kind of,
And I'm pretty
beautiful.
sure. Was it? I think Adele and maybe Michael were had keys because they were going
They're gonna
to clean it up, close it up. Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Are you in touch with anybody back there? No.
No. I've recently tried to, I've reached out to Gabby, though I haven't been able to find her. I think I need to go through one of her sisters to find her.
You can't get her
catch
through
up.
Facebook or
No,
something?
I guess she's not on there, or not active. And then I hit up Luke the other day,
Oh.
and gonna same thing, try and see if he wants to have a phone chat. He came up one night, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
time to go reach out to him, because we had like a whole unfinished loop where he was like gonna come out to California and visit, and then I just never heard from him. And it
I
turned out
remember hearing something about
it turned out that was this like whole turning over of his life.
Oh.
And he like apparently went through a whole sobriety experience, and yeah, that I just didn't really know about, and so yeah, I hope to get to talk to him.
Yeah.
As he was, I was just thinking of him, and kind of been going through my past in ways. And reconnecting really to that time, to Minneapolis, and the life we made there, and growing up there. And Luke was definitely my big bro.
Yeah.
Intermediary to Jai, who was my older big bro. But
Right. Yeah.
But further removed and off doing Jai stuff.
Yeah.
And Luke was really my most immediate big bro, and like person I looked up to in a lot of ways, and it's like really, I was just appreciating the other day just how he was a good big bro. He was really affirmative of
You always seem to be.
me, and and we just were tight. I really feel a deep appreciation for that, and for
Yeah, he was. And somewhere I have that picture of you. I I think sitting on Randy's knee, as I recall, with Luke. Luke and Randy, and he was, you know, a tot, and you were
a bip.
Yeah, a few months. Yeah. Yeah, you guys go way back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think about him now and then. I told you I heard from Jeannie and Randy last year, I guess, sometime.
Yeah, I vaguely
separately.
remember you mentioning that.
Yeah. Yeah, because they were, well, they were, you know, in most ways they were our best friends. I mean, your mother and me, anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was, as I remember when we met them, this was before we were married.
Oh.
Must have been-
You both knew them?
No, I'm, Jeannie and Janice met because Jai and Nate
Yeah.
did some hanging out, and I'm not sure, they may have both been at Southside. You know, that's
kinda,
possible.
Yeah, that sounds right.
That sounds right,
That sounds
yeah.
right in the lineage of things.
And they used to have a New Year's Day party.
New Year's Day.
New Year's Day. And I think that's the first time I met them. Yeah. And of course that was, you know, I had only known Janice
Some
3
months.
4 months or something.
Yeah, we're getting married.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I know.
When you know, you know.
Yeah. No kidding.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. Talk about head first.
So I wanna talk a little bit more about that transition, and yeah, because you were starting to talk about how you went about the process of rooting here, and how that was like, that was a process.
Yeah. Boy, was it ever.
So yeah, do you feel
Mostly
like
happened
talking
to,
about that?
yeah, I had, mostly I needed a job.
Yeah.
Some way to make some money. And because I remember making several trips to SAC for, you know, various reasons. Just after we got here, I went back to Minnesota for the memorial dedication
In Duluth.
in Duluth. And yeah, which was really bizarre, you know, to go back there, but it wasn't home anymore. Because I didn't fly into Duluth. I went to, you know, Minneapolis. But then I took a voiceover class in SAC.
Huh.
and kind of scrounged around. I joined the Chamber of Commerce, and then I would go to their morning meetings, where there would be, various business people, and beating the bushes and see something that I thought I could do. And in fact, I remember I tried to.
That image.
I was going to try to market myself as an editor, because I've got skills.
You got skills, yeah.
And
Yeah.
I remember I would go to these meetings, and try to work that somehow. I think I did some handouts. I remember going by a bagel shop that no longer exists, and that was part of my realization that people don't want to know what they're doing wrong. They don't really want to hear it, especially if it's as minor and admittedly minor as spelling and grammar. But there was a rack, and with the bagels on it, and she had misspelled cheddar. And
That's embarrassing.
yeah, and I found out that's really what happens. People are embarrassed. They don't want to hear it. And they certainly don't want you telling them. And that didn't go well. And then there was another
Hour.
In a restaurant, and which shall remain nameless because they're still around. And they had misspelled prosciutto, which is understandable. It's kind of tricky, but
Yeah,
yeah.
degree up of
Right,
sophistication.
and I told I told the waitress, I think, and I could see her when she was talking to the, I guess, manager. And she pointed, and that guy over there said, and she was appalled, and they took it off. Took it off the menu and just forget it.
Forget it, yeah. We're never selling this.
I haven't seen it since. Yeah.
Oh, God.
So that went on for, God, I don't know, a year and a half. And then I got the job at Home Depot, which was fine. That was in the garden. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was a big,
yeah,
stability.
Something. Yeah, we got something we can eat anyway.
I can eat, yeah.
And then there was 2 or 3 things happened in rapid succession. We were going to various kind of school things, faculty things, and met some people like that, and I met Bob Spear. I think Geety introduced me, actually, and
Fateful.
who said go, and then through him, I got to meet Tom Gascoigne, who was the editor of the News and Review at the time, and while I was at Home Depot, this was during the summer sometime, and I had, I guess Tom had kind of interviewed me, I suppose. And I was, in fact, I was at Home Depot when I found out about it. But they had run a feature story about, I mean, it was really about Negroes in Chico. They didn't call it that, though.
Your words.
It was like, what? Yeah, my words. But somehow trying to get at what it was like, you know, to be non-white in Chico.
This
would have,
Bob Spear wrote that?
no, I think Tom Gascoigne did.
Right.
Bob was kind of, he was like an editor emeritus or something, but he wasn't the editor, he wasn't the official editor.
Yeah.
He was a consultant or something like that.
Gotcha.
And
this was
This
in an
piece-
earlier time when there really were pretty, at least openly, very few black people in Chico.
yes, very few.
That has changed
Joe Person and
dramatically over the last.
yeah, well, it seems like it. I
20 years.
don't know if there are really more or,
Yeah, there are.
yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
definitely. Definitely then from when we were first here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I can believe that. I mean, 19 years we've been here. That's bizarre. Anyway, so
Yeah, it is.
when this story, when that issue came out, my mug was on the cover, which I hadn't expected. Because somebody at work, you know, mentioned it, you know, and I had
that
to go
one.
find one.
He's
Yeah. He's the one on in the paper.
he's
So
representative.
that's right, Mr. Black Man. I was Mr. Black Man at church for, you know, a few years. The official rep.
the token.
Yeah. So there was that, and then right just after that, he asked me if I would, if I'd be interested in writing a column. And just about the same time, I found I won't say a real job, but I found a job editing. For a magazine which should also remain nameless.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So within a few months, everything changed. You know, and I went from a anonymous, nameless floor walker at Home Depot to my mug was in the paper every other week to start with, and then Tom left.
Took your rightful place on the throne of Black Man of Chico.
Yeah, that's right. Oh God. Yeah, all three of us, four at the time. Yeah, and so I did that every other week for about a year. And then Tom got canned, and the guy who was writing the column on my off weeks got a job at the magazine where I was.
Oh wow.
And had to bow and said he couldn't do both. And that's when I went to weekly.
Did a little flippy do.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And that went on for years.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was real roots.
Mm-hmm.
Real roots here.
Mm-hmm. And I'm still, there are still people who recognize me, which is always a surprise. But, because that was, 8 years ago? Yeah.
Yeah.
It was over 8 years ago, so. But that's gratifying. Because,
Sure.
the people, not so much to be recognized, but people who like my work.
Yeah, that it
And I'm sure there are thousands who didn't.
it was being read.
It was
like,
being read.
That
sure.
weekly push you were doing was like
Yeah.
did
Yeah.
still to this day like carve out a place in people's minds. You conquered them. You conquered a place
Okay.
in people's minds, Father.
Yeah.
Deal with that.
Right. For good or ill.
I think it was good.
Oh yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And
We haven't had something like that since.
No. And the way things are, it's kind of a long shot these days.
Well, the closest
Who
thing
knows?
is spiritually, and like in print, is what Jade and Alex are doing with the Mandarin
Yeah.
in terms of like free expression.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and more power to her.
Yeah. Yeah, fuck yeah. And yeah, and I mean, the plan is to eventually subject people to what we're doing right now. and we'll see what that
See ya.
happens with that.
Yeah.
And that is kind of a fun and goal for me. Like I mostly do, there's the basic goal of purpose of just for its own sake what we're doing here.
Mm-hmm.
And then beyond that there is a fun yeah, there is something enticing and invigorating about the idea of just adding to that kind of legacy of sorts of yours and just re-engaging that with what we do here, re-engaging a exercise of speaking freely and
Yeah.
publicly. And
Yeah. It's an interesting thing to do. I told you I wrote about, I did Chris Nelson's show on
you
KZFR
yeah
last week.
you the first I heard of that was in your message last night.
Yeah, and this is kind of a
Is it out yet?
callback. Yeah, it's online. But she had asked me for topics, that I would be willing to talk about, or that I wanted to talk about, and we hit on a couple of them. But there was one, and this kind of reminded me that not everybody wants to hear what I have to say. And I do have haters. and now and then I run across one. Chris isn't one, but there was this. One of the topics I suggested was gender pronouns. She said, "No, I don't think we're not going to talk about that because I know you. We're not going to go there."
And you might
So.
invoke the name of the doc one.
Good, yes.
And we don't have the doc one here.
Yeah, no.
We don't say his name in this house.
It's not in this house. Yeah. So that's fine. You know, I know who I am. Fine. I don't care at this point. It's not critical.
Yeah. Well, I will say again, I want to invite that here. Like I hope, yeah, I want to invite that exercise and invite and encourage you, let you know that I am down for you to talk about whatever you want to talk about, and that's kind of that's part of what's exciting about the idea. It's yeah, because you're not gonna, that I know of, you're not gonna throw me off. But let's find out.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I think that's just
And then,
an opportunity that we've got at least. Like it just seems so valuable of an opportunity in doing this. Like. So I'll take that to myself too. Like really try to see how I can expand my own free speech and do so in this context. Exercise it.
Expand the reach. Or expand in with more subjects, or
yeah, like to just that being one facet of what we could do in this, to expand the domains that I allow myself to speak openly, and bring light to my own taboos of speech. That would be a cool result. It's like just became more and more sovereign about what I'm willing to talk about, and being more and more willing to talk about whatever, anything that I need to.
So where does writing fit in your scheme? I mean, you've always been competent
as a writer.
Yeah, In fact, I
Yeah.
ran across the thing. I don't know. I guess it looked like it was a school assignment, but something you wrote about the move here. And
Yeah, how old I was.
what an upheaval it was for you. Yeah, I don't know, 12, 13. I'll find it.
Yeah. That rings
Right.
some distant
That was a while ago.
Ade bell, but
Yeah.
yeah. That's I kind of remember doing that.
Yeah.
Where does writing fit into my life? I laugh. Why I started laughing is because you asked me that last week too.
Did I?
Yeah, and you can keep asking me.
Okay. I want to keep up.
Let's see if how my answer develops. Because last week I said, well, that's the question. I'm trying to figure that out, and then told you a little bit about the things I'm writing.
Mm-hmm.
And this week, so since talking about that, yeah, I've been working on a poem. Not sure if it's a poem or a short story. It's a prosy poem. Not really sure.
Yeah.
Jade's
Prose poems are it's an interesting thing to try to do.
Yeah, I'm not even sure exactly what I am trying to do.
That's okay.
Jade suggested that I just let go of whatever form I'm trying to do and just get the thing out.
Right.
And that was very wise.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, it can be like, okay, maybe we can impose this idea of structure.
Yeah.
But thus far, it's been this prosy poem. With moments of like, oh, okay, I could rhyme there. All right.
Yeah,
I see it. I see an opportunity.
Yeah.
So I've been chipping away at that, trying to meet this deadline of Saturday for the Mandarin's current theme. And it's like, yeah, this big old fucking thing that's like, well, you'll see. But I've told you a little bit about it on a car ride. It's called Leviathan.
Uh-huh.
It's a beast poem. And so where does writing fit in? This week I've been working it into my music flow. So like yesterday I was working on the band song, and I would work on that, and then I would go for a bit, and then as the energy dissipated and focus dissipated, I'd go work on the poem a little bit, and that was cool. It was a cool round round table circle of activity, and so I'll keep doing that. And I said this last week. It feels very important. There is definitely a writer in me. And there are things that I feel the need to write about. And like this is a kind of, I guess I feel a little shy about my noviceness about it, but yeah, I definitely need to write.
Yeah, you have things to say.
I do, and I have things to like figure out for myself.
And that's a good way to go about it.
I have things that I need to figure out for myself, and like a philosophy to build here. That has been very implicit, but needs words to it, so that I can get the best of it, best of the things, the way in which I've been living, and develop that more explicitly and clearly. So. Yeah, so I'm finding out. It's certainly been very stimulating to just be near the Mandarin, because now there's this really growing all the time, an outlet that's growing all the time for pieces.
Right.
And that's awesome. And definitely helps me out in that way. Know that I might be able to get a piece in if it's good enough.
Yeah.
And slash fits with what they're trying to do. Yeah, so getting a little more of making a little more structure with it within my week, into my creative days, and and the exercise of it is it feels so important too, like the structuring of my thought. Like I was remembering a teacher of mine who I've probably told you about, senior year, who was giving me feedback on an essay I had written, and it was an essay that I had like stayed up until like, you probably remember, stayed up until like 7 a.m. And I was, it was like a kind of traumatic experience.
Yeah.
But I got okay. It was like a B, and for all things considered, it's not bad. And he had given me some feedback that I've come back to throughout the years. It was one of those like critical moments of life that I'll just always kind of treasure. Where he came up to me at the end of class, and like I think I asked about a note he had put on it, and he was like, "You're a musician, aren't you?" And I was like, "Yes." Yeah. What? My like senses go up, like, where is this going? Yeah. And he's like, "Yeah, I can tell by the way you write. You don't know how to structure an essay." and I was like, "Damn." Yeah. And it was so. I was telling this story yesterday. It means a lot. That moment means a lot to me. Because it was like, the first person that had ever said that to me.
No.
And it was like just so spiritual. I didn't understand fully, but it was like he was pointing out like in my psychology, like you do not know how to structure yourself that well, or as well as you could yet.
Yeah.
But you have something to say,
Right.
and like he affirmed that, like, you've got, this is good, like it's on its way, but you just work on that.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, and he was coming up to me yesterday, and in ways I'm calling on that feedback again in my own life. Because it's what's needed to move forward is clear thinking, clear points of me, and
Yeah. And that's
so
that all, it all makes sense. That's all. That's good. And JP talks about, there's a quote. I don't know what I did with it, but that says something like, writing is structured thinking,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
and I know it's certainly true for me, can help you figure out what it is you actually believe. To be able to see all of it down in front of you, and it's very helpful for anybody, because he can show you where the dark spots are and the fuzzy part, and
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
well, that's good. I'm going to keep asking.
Yeah. Please do. Please do, Father. Yeah, because I want to develop the writer Ade. It's a very important part of Ade world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What time Sunday?
9 p.m. doors, 9:30 show.
Okay.
Starting a bit later this time on account of
Light.
sundown.
Yeah.
This is the beginning of a series. There is a theme that I'm
Okay.
holding, and will eventually say the beginning of the grove.
Okay.
And the first theme of events of like the first season of the grove. There is a theme, and this is the first one of that.
Oh. Okay. I was wondering. I'd like to hear how. I was wanting to hear how Alien and Hook,
How they relate.
how they fit into some overarching
You'll have to find out. Yeah.
Right. Yes, I can't wait to find out how these hook up. But that's cool.
Yeah, the theme will be the movies that follow Hook will be, it's a more obvious.
Okay.
Alien was
It was a crowd pleaser.
not at all.
No, not at all.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. That was a personal.
Oh,
Just.
of course it was. What am I thinking?
Representation of just where I have been in ways, and giving just a fun way of giving voice to the last few months of my life, and the kind of cataclysm that has been. And what follows is, like, for me, it's all spiritually relevant.
Oh,
And-
yeah. I don't doubt it.
and yeah, it's exciting. The theme came about, and I'm not going to say it yet, but
No.
it came about. Had the words for it last week, and just saw what I was reaching for, and some things just came together. What I was reaching for with this whole project, and where I am personally, and what I see around me, and kind of how I'm connecting to Chico right now, and yeah, it's exciting. Just
Yeah.
The idea, what this place can be is something really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And got all sorts of ideas for what will be a part of that, and so it's cool. Cool side project.
Yeah.
Happy I'm doing it. And yeah, and it's all related to what we've been talking about today, in a way. And it was really cool to talk about the move a bit, touch on that experience.
Mm-hmm.
It was, yeah, because I'm kind of reconnecting to that place in my mind right now, in my life these days, and the significance of it, and am in a place of feeling very, very uprooted, and in space,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and having to, like, rebuild and grow new roots in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, it's really cool to talk about that, and just talk about, like, growing roots in a place, and how we went about that, and see, like, recognize the ways in which I went about that, and the things that helped, like the friends that I had made, and the guitar, the, like, focuses I had, the response, all important parts of grown roots. Yeah, roots are, like, your relationships. Roots are your what you do, your habits,
Mm-hmm.
your routine focuses. Those are all roots
Mm-hmm.
into reality, and in a way, yeah, I'm rerooting, transplanting spiritually in some way to a bigger pot.
Yeah. At least.
Although I would like to say, just while using this dream logic, like in this moment, I would like to say that no, I'm not just transplanting to a bigger pot, though in the like scheme of things maybe that's the case, because then there will be a bigger pot.
Right.
But I'm not just transplanting to a bigger pot, I'm like growing roots in the ground now, in some deeper way than I ever have. That's the mission. Not into a pot, into the ground and into the earth itself. And
Good. Carry on.
cool.
Yeah.